Hi, I'm Jan. Let's talk about coffee. So, the history of coffee is ancient and massive, but what I find most interesting is the most recent history, which is the three waves of coffee. Now, the first wave of coffee happened in the mid-19th century, and it's considered the first wave because it's when coffee becomes industrialized. Those movements and techniques of the industrial era are suddenly applied to coffee. So it's produced on a massive scale, and it suddenly stops being a commodity that people have to go to the coffee shop for, and it starts being in people's homes. So it's produced on a massive scale first in America and then around the world and in other countries. And it's what is considered to be why the companies such as Folgers in America becomes a brand that everybody has in their homes, because it's producing on a huge scale and it's cheap and it's easy to buy. Then in about 1884, somebody invents the first espresso machine, which isn't considered a wave of coffee, but it definitely massively impacts the coffee industry and the environment of coffee that we know today. And it's the espresso machine is changed in 1901 and then later on improved. Now, the second wave of coffee, we have to wait till 1960s, 70s till this happens, and that is when the coffee shop changes. And it stops being a place where you just go in to get your caffeine hit and starts to be a place to relax with friends. So if you remember Friends, the TV program, they go to Central Perk every day. That's where they hang out, just as much as they hang out in their homes. And there are sofas, and you can sit with a cup of coffee to warm yourself, to be cozy, to feel not quite at home, but at home. So that is the model which all the massive coffee chains take up and have now proliferated all around the world. So Starbucks, Costa, Nero, all these other chains have become absolutely massive because they create that environment of coziness and warmth while giving you your caffeine hit. Now, the last wave of coffee, which we're still currently in at the moment, is the third wave. Now, this actually starts to happen in the Antipodes, so in Australia and New Zealand. And if you want to learn more about what exactly specialty coffee is, you can see in my other video. But that is growing and growing even to this day. I remember about 3 years ago I could name you most of the good specialty coffee shops in London, and now it's absolutely exploded. 5 years ago there were barely any at all. And I see it growing all over the world. And what's interesting is it's got to the point now where that industry is starting to affect the mainstream industry. So I remember a few years ago, a lot of people were like, what is this flat white? Why is Costa selling a flat white? What is this? What's this new drink? Nobody had heard of it before, whereas specialty coffee shops had been selling them right from the get-go. And it's interesting to see that it's a very disruptive force, although it's nowhere near as big as the chains. It's still very powerful, and it's spreading and changing the world of coffee as we know it today.